All right, I believe we are live. Do I mute myself? There. What's up, Xtel? Welcome. All right, let's get it started. We are just going to start out with a blank page, and we'll build this all up from scratch. That way everyone is free to follow along. I have the sprites that we'll use right here. And let's see if I can throw this into chat with you. And hey, Yusuf, how you doing? That's a link to the sprites if you wanted to follow along. And you'll just come to this page, hit download. No thanks, I don't need money for them. They're not even my sprites, by the way. If you do like the work, they're done by Shade, and they have a bunch of outfits and whatnot for them. So you're good to check his stuff out there. But if you just want this to follow along, we hop in here and just click down and grab all of them. It's going to be for each direction, both walking and idle. Ooh, I got a playback error on my end. Can you guys still hear or see me in chat? Here. All good? Okay, cool. I will keep going then. And then when you download all those, just keep them in a download folder to the side. And we will use them later. And we'll create a new project here. And just an empty project. None of this matters. It's just a mechanic. We're not building a full game here. So I'll just keep the pre-made project name and store it on my computer. And we'll start with our player object. So that'll be a sprite. We can name it whatever we like. I always go with player. And let's go ahead and create the first image here. And we'll just do idle down for the first one. And we can simply drag and drop. And since there's two on here, we can deduce that these are two 64 by 64 objects on the sprite sheet. And if we go into the import sprite sheet on the bottom here, it will automatically cut it for us if we put in 64 there. So we'll be doing that each time. Throw it in with import, and then we see we have both of them. And we can rename this. Oh, guess we can't rename it in here, but we'll rename it right here. And idle down. And then do make sure that you are copying or at least staying with your own naming convention here, because we will be using these in order to take both the state for the player and then the direction for the player. So we'll be using whether or not they're idle or walking for the first half of their name here. And then if they're up or down for the middle part, and then if they are left or right. And that will come into play when they're diagonally up or diagonally down, because we'll need all three in there. But for now, we have the idle down. We can hit apply, and we'll just drag them onto our screen. And we don't even need to test yet. They are just going to be idling down forever. So let's start adding a few more animations here. And I'll take care of all the idle ones first. And I like to just go kind of in a circle. So we'll do idle down then idle down left, and the same sizes. Copy this. Left. And wish there was a faster way to do this, but I haven't found one yet. We got idle up left here. Oop. Clicked outside. And if you do end up spelling something wrong, you'll find out when your animation doesn't change over, and it just remains on the most previous animation you were playing. So that's your bug. So you'll be able to use that for debugging later on if one of your animations isn't switching. And we should have idle up now. Let's just drop a few more in here and do them at once. Idle up right. And idle right. And idle down right will be our last one. If I can find it. Idle down right, there it is. Oh, that might have been walk. Yep. My bad. I don't think I hit download on it. Idle down right, third one. Oh, that's walk. Womp womp. Idle down right. Reading helps. And we'll just overwrite this one with the replace right here. And that'll get rid of our walk one. Oop. And I'm going to want all of these to be on loop so they happen forever. Otherwise, we'd have to program in something like animation finished and have them repick the idle animation. And then you can adjust the speeds to whatever you find appropriate, but I'm just going to leave them super fast. And we still can't do anything yet. So let's throw in a few typical events. So we'll start out with just the normal key conditions. We don't want that. We want key pressed. Hey, FXGel, how you doing? So, just the most basic ones we have down, right, up, and left for our keys. And we're going to want those to send over the direction that our player is going to be idling, since idle is all we have right now. So we can click on player and add an animation by name. And we'll start with down. And we'll just paste this in for all of them. I'm doing great, thank you. And we'll just fill in the ones we have. So we got that, and up, and left. So now we can switch around. Nothing's gonna happen if we hit multiple keys. It will take, I don't know if it's whatever key is first. Yeah, it looks like whatever key is first. And then it'll only switch if you release that key over. So that is the goal of what we want to fix, since we are going to be hitting multiple keys at once to hit a multi-direction. So if I just create a new event here and paste left and up in here, a lot of people will start out with trying to just put their up left idle. Up left. And I don't know if this will do one of two things. We have up and left that happens, and these will happen first, since everything in our event sheet is going to happen from top to bottom. So they'll switch over and then switch back, and I don't know if they'll switch long enough to actually show us the switch, but they might jump between, or they might just stay on the last one that we see. So let's see. We'll hit up and left, and nothing happens until we release them. Oh, they're on release. Derp. These should all be pressed so they can continue to happen. So let's fix that real quick. Okay. And we don't have to delete. We can just go in here and find the matching key pressed. Since it takes the same input, it'll just switch over if you change it. So it'll keep all of your properties right here, and it'll just add your new. And I'm going to do this multiple times, so I'm going to copy this. So key press to the right, key press to up, and then both of these need to be pressed as well. And now let's see what happens when we hit them both. So they're both held. It does switch over, and it stops the animation. And we can verify that up left is set to idle, which I think it is. Up left, or set to loop, I meant. And so it should continue to happen, but instead it is freezing, and that is because it is switching. It is catching both of these and then hitting this. So it doesn't have time to continue playing. It just switches back and forth. So we need a way to stop these from happening if this is going to happen. Which the first route that I took was just a simple check to see all the keys that are happening at once, and if they don't meet the specific condition of hitting a diagonal, then they're good to go. But if they do, then we would ignore them. I might have said that backwards. To clarify, we would do something to make sure in here that it shouldn't be a diagonal. So with this one being up, we would make sure it's not doing left or right, because those are the two directions that are closest to up and the two options to make a diagonal. Because up and down would not make a diagonal. It would make, I don't know what's supposed to display there. But to hit the two diagonals, you'd have up, which can go with left or right. So we'd make sure left is not pressed by doing a key press of left and then inverting it, and then right as well. And I don't think that's going to show up right until we do it for left as well. And then now with both of those locked out, these two full events aren't going to happen, which should allow only this one to happen. And we should be back to idling up left when we press. And as you can see, they're jumping up and down again. And hey there, Dream Piece. You were wondering if there would be a continuation of Super Mario World. Um, I don't know. I was thinking about remaking it since some of the naming conventions and stuff changed. The variables were changed, how they were loaded in, and it had people with a lot of questions. And then going into a bit of the parts that I skipped over, like the overworld. Um, was there anything specific in the Mario tutorials that wasn't there that you were interested in, or just a continuation in general? And jumping back into this, while this does work, it is just a lot and hard to keep track of everything. So we're going to have one of these for each direction, specifically for one direction. So we just want to make it a little cleaner and give it a way to, I guess, yeah, just the bulk is the main issue here. So round 2, and the one that I've been using lately, let's add a global variable first. Do you think it's possible to recreate Mario World player physics in GDevelop, like the spin jump and run, for example? So I know you can, since you do have the ability to change the physics is the wrong word, since it's make believe physics with the platform condition, so they put in just a few of the actual physics in there. But you do have abilities to like change the slide amount, how quickly you run, how quickly you slow down, and you'd be able to match that. Spin jump would just be a jump with a different animation, and you'd have your character in a different state, which would make them, do different things if they were landing on something. So if you're in the spin jump state and you would land on a block, it would break the block. That's all definitely possible in GDevelop. I wouldn't know how to match the physics exactly with um, getting the movement to feel the same, the slide to happen. Like when you turn from running right and turn left, Mario would slide over a little bit. I wouldn't know how to do that, but I'm almost positive that you could do it. But yeah, something I can definitely look into for you. Back to our variable here. This is going to be a key recorder for us. So it's just going to show us what keys we have down. And each time we press the key, it'll add a different variable. So if we press, let's say, right key, we'll have 1, and then the up key will add 10, left key would be 100, and the down key would be 1,000. That way, no matter what key is pressed, we'll see the numbers change. And then, if we have like a 1001, we'd know we're pressing, I don't remember the keys off the top of my head, but it'd be like right and down for those ones. So this will be our key tracker. I'd like to add a variable. This will be our key tracker. And it'll be a number, and we can just start it with 0. Default value doesn't matter because our events will actually be what's changing the number. So this will be a multi-leveled event here. And step 1, we're just going to reset that variable. So we'll search for our variable, change variable, key tracker to 0. And we'll have no condition. So this will just happen all the time. We'll reset our key tracker to 0. And then based on numbers that are hit, we'll change it. So sub event here. And I just want all of these like I had up top. Right, down, and left. And then on these, I don't want to set, I want to add. That way each one can change independently of the other ones. And I'll just put all those in with zeros for now. And then, let's see, down we'll do as 1, right we'll do as 10. Oh, I have 2 downs. Let's change this one to up. And again, the number does not matter for what one does what, as long as each one of them has a different number. So we have up as 1, right as 10, down as 100, and left as 1000. And we'll hop back over here and add a text variable or a text object. That way we can track it in real time. So text tracker, and when I'm testing, I like to make the size bigger on the font because that's not something that will stay in the game, and we can just delete it when we don't need it anymore. And if we hop in here, I should probably update my event sheet to actually show the number. And we should be able to do that right below all of these. Again, this all happens from top to bottom. So when it first comes into this event, we'll reset. All of these changes will happen. And whether or not I have my new event out here on its own or in here with the other ones, it'll happen after all of these. So we'll have our new number. And we will set our text to our nope key tracker. Boop. Now we should see 0, and as we press keys, we will jump around to different values. The weird thing is that keyboards don't allow you to press all the buttons at once. I think it's something to do with the circuiting. So different areas of the keyboards have different restrictions. For our num keys, I think once you press left and up, everything is restricted. So you can't add down and right. Otherwise, up and right is only restricted by left, but you can have 3 there. But none of the issues, or none of the keys that don't work together, are across from each other, which, if you're walking both left and right, there's no actual display that you'd want to show for your player character anyways. You can either stop the character from moving, or you can just ignore one of the keys. I guess that'd be up to you as the developer, but obviously you can't walk in 2 directions at once. Yeah, I don't know what you'd want to do to handle that on yours. The last one I did, I just made my character shrug at the player. But you should probably just ignore the movement until one of the keys is released. But from here we can see our little binary solution gives us a different number for every combination. And then instead of using all of this to actually change the animation, we can use our new key tracker value to change our animation. So if our key tracker is equal to something, and the hardest part here is remembering what each of the values are, because you can obviously have 1, you can have 11, you can have 10, you could have 101, yada yada yada. So you have to, come back here, reference what each one's supposed to do, and figure out, what up and right would be, and then set them. And once you have all your animation set, you never have to look at it again once it's tested. But the hardest part is just remembering what they should do. So value 1, simple enough, is just a 1 direction and it's up. So we'll set our animation. Actually, we already have some of these. Idle up. We can just drag it down here. We don't need it up there anymore. And since we know 1 is up, we know we want to hit up left and up right. So left would be 1000 and up would still be 1. So we'll switch this to 1001. And change that to up left. Then the same idea for right. And I'll change this first since I know idle up right will be what this one is. And then up here we have right as 10 and up is still 1, so that would be 11. So now we should be able to do up, left, and up, right based off of our key tracker value instead of off of our straight up conditions that just say, hey, if you press right, go right. And a good thing about this is if we want to change our keys to allow us, hey there, Square Peg, how you doing? Change our keys to allow us to use like ASWD movement. All we have to do is change in here from up to W and so on, and then all this would transfer over. I'm going to go ahead and delete these. That way when we test, we'll know it's our new code. Undo that. Make sure I didn't delete anything too much. We'll make sure it's the new code that's actually making the changes. And we'll just continue on from here with a new event. And oops. And I'm just copy pasting to save time. We don't want to use up again, so we can hit left. So now we know with left we can be up left or down left. And we already have up left from our previous one, so we can ignore that. Grab normal left first. And then we'll need down left. And that'll be this one. And down plus left would be 1,100. Let me grab a more basic one, paste that in. And just down now. And down is 100. And we already have down left, so we only need down right. And right was 10, so 110. Do I not have it down right? Is it just named the wrong thing? Hop in here. We have one named player. Idle down right. Yep, Square Peg, this will end up on my channel. I'll either just leave it as a live or I'll edit out some random stuff and make the volume sound a little better and whatnot, but I'll probably just leave it as live so you can catch it later if you need to. And now I can change this one to idle down right. And our next one will be right. And then I think that might be the last one. Idle right is just 10. Do we have 8 here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Look at that. That should be each direction for us. So we'll hop back in here, see if we broke anything. Without angles, everything worked. And then with angles, everything works. And we can do the same for our walking. And once we get all those put in, I'm just going to minimize this. We know what's in there by now. Once we get that put in, then we'll build a small state machine to switch between idle and walk. And by put in, I mean the animations put in, since all we have right now is idles. And since we start on idle 0, that gives us 15 for adding 8 more animations for our walks. And let's just get it over with. Create and drag and drops. This would be a great spot for music or something to be happening. Down left. All right, we got our last one going in now. Way less errors than last time, probably. And walk up right. Make sure we switch them all to loop. And I'm just going to look through them all real quick. Make sure the spelling matches what's happening. Looks good. And so at this point, we're going to want to change away from going directly into an animation and build it up off of going into just part of the animation based on your key press or your key tracker. So we can do, so we can use the fact that key tracker set to 0. We are not putting any input. And we can set that to idle for now. And then any value above 0, then we are walking. Which is just a simple way. It's not really a state machine yet. It's just a simple way to dictate for now whether or not we want to be idle or walking. And I will want, do I need variables to hold those is what I am thinking right now. Yeah, let's store them in some global variables. We'll call the first one state. It'll be a text, as will the second one. And we'll call that one direction. And I'm just going to start direction with down, since that is the direction our character is actually facing. And state is definitely going to be given idle right away from us setting it based on our key tracker. It was good hanging out, Excel. Have a good one. We'll catch you later. So right here, based off a variable of our key tracker, if it's equal to exactly 0, we'll do this event and copy paste this, change this to greater than. And if key tracker is greater than 0, we'll do this event. And for now, it's as simple as setting that new variable for state. And I believe I clicked 0 here, so 0 would be idle. Yep, and then the other one would be walk. And then in here, since we have the state as its own variable, we can just add them together. So we'll use an expression instead of picking a name. And instead of using idle up, we're going to use our key tracker value plus up. And these spaces here don't matter. The ones inside quotes would. So this would mean there needs to be a space in the actual name. And as you see down here, idle down left has no spaces. So we don't want anything like that in there. We just want the key tracker concatenated with the word up right now. And based on our state, we should switch between a walking animation up and an idle animation up. And all the other ones should be the same. Or nothing will work. So if key tracker is 0, we do idle. Hey, Mike Joe, welcome to the chat. Oh, not key tracker. State goes here. Key tracker is affecting state, but is not the actual value we want, because key tracker has that 0 to 1111 value in there, and we just want the word. So let's try that again. So we're running upwards, and as I release it, it does not change back. And that is because this is only going to be entered. This condition is only going to be entered if key tracker is equal to 1. And when we change to idle, we are no longer having key tracker at 1. So we need the way to turn back to idle to be outside, which we can reset it every time here. I don't know if that would override things. Give me 1 second to think about this. Okay, I'm going about that wrong. I don't want to change the animation inside of each of these. I want to change the animation outside, so it's always changing, and these should just be setting up, these values here should just be setting up the directional state. So let's do a brand new condition, and this will set our animation by name. And the same thing here with the expression, and we want the state, and we want to add it with our direction. So now our state and our direction will always be setting our animation, and it will happen after all these, so they'll get overwritten. So instead of having these affect the animation, I want to have these affect either the state or the direction, which they are going to be based off the directional keys, so they'll definitely affect the direction if pressed, and they also switch you from walk to idle, so they'd end up affecting both. So here we can tracker greater than 0 already takes care of walk, so we don't have to worry about taking care of walk inside of each one. And we will just set, instead of our player animation, our other variable here. To up. And we can delete this. So now if the 1 key is pressed, we will be facing up. And while it's pressed, this one's still going to be hit, so we'll be set to walk. And when it's released, it'll switch to idle. And since we're playing around with stuff, it's a good time to add more text boxes. Actually, faster route. Let me delete that one. I'm just gonna I deleted the wrong one. Well, that wasn't faster at all. Text and key tracker was the first one. 30 something here. Pull that out. And I was going to say it'd be faster to duplicate and just rename. So this will be our state. This will be our direction. And it force changed this because our global variables already have those names. Not globals. Our global variables already have those names. So smart thing to do is just write text state and text direction in here, so you know what you're talking about when you reference direction, whether or not it's the actual text object or the variable. Drag that one out there. And then we need to figure out what we broke by deleting the wrong one here, which is just this. Every tick, we should be setting our text here, and now it has a new name since I erased the other one. And in this same area, since this is just always happening, I'm going to add the other ones here as well. So everything that will affect text will go in here. And we have the state and direction and simply state, and direction is what we're setting it to. So if we hop back in, we can see if we hold down left, our animation's not showing up correctly, but we do have our 1000 pop up. We have the word walk pop up, and we have down pop up. So all we have to do now is change it to say the correct direction for each one. And we started with down popping up because that is our default value. Up in here, we have down popping up, and we only added one event so far to change the direction. So we have our up. And we can simply go through each of these. And for now, I'll just paste in up. And we know it needs to be replaced with whatever the animation's direction was. So each one that has an animation and a variable change, we can, I guess that won't work. We can hop in here, up and right. Then we delete the old one and continue down. So this will be up and left. And this one will be just left. And this one will be down and left. This one just down. Down right. And just right. And since we have the nifty text trackers right here, we can easily see if we messed anything up. So as I go through them, left, up, right, right, down, down, left. So all of them work, and all we really did was change that one, but now it works on all of them. And let's add some movement for him. We can do this with top down, but I don't think we need it. Let's see. Let's just do a little force. Force. Add a force in direction. Let's say 150. That might be really fast. But again, this is just for show and tell, so we're not too worried about how fast or how slow. We definitely want instant though. That way, once we let go, we don't have to worry about removing or it stacking infinitely. It'll just be 150 until we release. And then the angle will be, what one did I do? Up. So that'd be 270. Yep. So I was on up, which is the third 90 degree from right, which is what we start with in degrees in GDevelop. So anything facing the right is 0, anything down would be 90, 180, 270. And I will hop through and do, all the singular directions first, since they're less to think about. Down would be 90, and right would be 0. And even though it's 0, we still want to put it in there to make sure it's overwriting the old value. All right, down right should be 45. Down left should be 135. Up left 225, and then 315. Oops. And let's see. Oh, was I supposed to delete anything in there? No. So now if we hold a direction, they go in that direction, and there will be a little bug, I think. Can we see? Yeah. So if you're adding a force, actually, maybe it's not in here. Let me. I don't think it's in there. Okay. So a lot of times when you are working with diagonals, it'll add the speeds together. But I think the way we have our key tracker set up, it's not increasing the speed at diagonals. I don't know why it's so hard for me to tell. Maybe because we're so zoomed out. But it seems fine. But if the speed is increased, then you could just put a lower value for our diagonals in here. Let me save this and close out of it. And I'm going to hop into my other project, because I swear I did have to adjust for diagonals on this one. State. That's what we're doing next. Spoilers. Nope. Okay, it must have been one of my different ways of doing directions. I had to adjust with a smaller force, but it looks like we are good the way we are. So I can hop back into our project. And for the sake of time, we can talk about our state on our other project. That way you don't have to watch me do it while we talk about it. And then if you guys had any questions or bugs on current projects, now would be a good time to throw them in the chat, and I will take a few minutes to answer those for you, as long as I can. But we are nearing an hour already, so let's pop this back open. And this is kind of the same project. This just has more animations in it. And I start zoomed in, but you can see we have our same little thing here, and then this is the confused state. I'm holding left and right at the same time, or up and down at the same time, and it just yells at the player to let them know they're being dumb. But I actually built out a very small but state machine, and the whole idea of state machines is to limit what you're able to do while you're inside of each different state. So player state is just a variable. We set it to whatever from wherever, and then they're locked into these being the only ways to leave that state. So if we're in the idle state, we can switch to attack, or we can switch to walk. If we had something that you weren't allowed to get to from idle, like if we had a run state, we would be required to be in the walk state first before we could get into run. So we would not put any run movement inside of idle. And then the same thing would go from our walk state. We're allowed to do things where we jump back down to idle, or we can do things where we switch to an attack. And a lot of them will overlap in what they actually do, but it just stops you from having problems when you bump into like whether or not your character's allowed to do something. Think of Link from Zelda games, and if you're against a rock that you're allowed to pull or push while you're holding down a button, well, that button normally does something else, like an attack. But if you're up against that rock, your state would change, and then that button push would only be inside of that state to allow you to start dragging or pushing that boulder. But yeah, that's it for the state machine. It's more confusing to grasp the concept, but once you have it, it is very simple. You just keep things where you want them to be activated from, and then anytime animations or actions overlap, then you know you have a problem with your state, and you can come into here and either restrict whatever action that is that's causing it, or separate them out into a new state being required. Did I have anything else fun in this one? Nope. All right. Well, that's about it. I don't see any questions in chat, so I will go ahead and end this one. Thank you all so much for joining. Hopefully a few of you tried out the animations and were able to build it. And I will update you all in the community post probably for our next one when I figure out the time. Again, thank you all. Peace. Boop.